Hello aspirants. Of late, civil services exam has become so dynamic. Every year, the way UPSC is asking questions has been changing. Most of the times, you are getting good questions from current relevant things. That means, any core areas that you read, you have to always correlate with current relevant things, whatever appears in your newspapers. And not only things, you require to actually practice. That means, these days, civil service examination is not just about reading books, or reading materials, or reading any blogs. It has become more of revisions and practice. So, along with your reading, revision and practice are also as important as the other. Now, we have devised one unique program called as Abhyasa Program, so that at a time you can revise as well as practice objective bits as well as descriptive questions for prelims as well as for mains at a time. That's the uniqueness of Abhyasa Program that we have just devised it, and which has proven to be very instrumental in getting the concepts clear for so many candidates. Before discussing about Abhyasa Program, let me talk about one scientifically proven forgetting curve given by Mr. Ebbinghaus. Ebbinghaus has given one curve called as forgetting curve. I will let you know why we require to know about details of this curve later on, but as of now let me explain the curve. To your right hand side, if you see, there is one curve called as Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. Now what it says is, whatever you read just now, suppose you read one article, or maybe regarding preamble you read one book. Now what happens? Immediately you will be actually able to recollect whatever you just have read. But the problem is, within a matter of 20 minutes, nearly 42% of information that you learned just now will be lost. That means what remains is only 58%. That means nearly 42% of information is already lost. Not only that, in a matter of just 1 hour, 56% information is already lost. That means what remains with you is only 44%. That means almost 56% is already lost. If the same thing continues, that means if you don't revise in between, what happens is, in a matter of one day, 67% of information is already lost. That means what remains in your mind is only 33%. That means 67% is already lost. If the same thing continues in a matter of 1 month, what remains in your mind is only 21%. That means almost 79% is already lost. 79% is already lost in a matter of 1 month is, dear friends, it is impossible for you if the same thing continues and crack this civil service examination, because civil service examination is very long term preparation. It's not about 1 month or 2 months or 3 months preparation. It's more than 1 year. Sometimes it might take 1.5 to 2 years minimum sometimes. It means that you need to have very good retention capacity. If the same thing continues, look at this one, so much of information is lost. This information you cannot lose if you have to crack civil services examination. But what you have to do then? Then you have to keep on revising things. Revisions are very important. What happens in the revisions is, the curve that you have like this, the inclined curve like this, downcoming curve like this, you have to make it as a flat curve. So whatever you read, it has to be retained permanently. This is the 100% retention line. Instead of a curve like a Ebbinghaus curve, it should be a 100% retention kind of a straight line. Then yes, you can definitely remember everything that you will learn for this examination, and even after 1 year or 1.5 years, if someone asks you say questions of whatever you learned 1 year back, yes, you will be able to recollect that information. That's very important. Now, based on this Ebbinghaus curve, there is one scientifically proven long-term memory reinforcement, in fact, which also called as revision technique. That means it should be a long-term memory reinforcement technique. What exactly is this? See, this technique requires you to revise whatever you learned in a specific frequency, not the way you like. Revision also has to be done in a specific frequency. Then, in fact, the specific frequency is all about how to minimize the number of revisions in a particular frequency so that you can remember it to the long-term memory. It should, whatever information is there, it should go to long-term memory and should remember it and should be able to recollect whenever it is required. Okay. For that, the first revision that you have to do is, as soon as you learn something, that means 0 minutes, 0 minutes, as soon as you learn something, immediately revise it. That means suppose a class got completed or just read any chapter in a newspaper, close your eyes for 5 to 10 minutes and immediately revise it, whatever is being read just now. First revision. The second one is 20 to 30 minutes. That means within a matter of half an hour, try to revise it again. That means suppose after the class got completed, you go home or you go to your hostel or you go to any library or you go to any study room. Then once more, second time you revise it. And the third one comes when you have to revise after 1 day. That means in a matter of 24 hours, after 24 hours, just revise for the third time. And next, fourth time, revise in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. And the last time, fifth time, if you are able to revise in a matter of 2 to 3 months, then whatever information that you learn or whatever chapter that you learn will never ever leave or go outside your memory space. So this is what all about long-term memory. This is a technique which is a scientifically proven technique, and let me tell you friends, if you follow this technique properly, then nothing like that. Nothing goes outside your memory. So whatever you learn systematically in this fashion, if you revise, then nothing can stop you from cracking civil services examination. Based on the technique of the scientific technique we just understood, that 5 revisions technique, what we have done is we devised a program called as Abhyasa Program. Now this Abhyasa Program, let me tell you friends, is completely based on the recommended technique that we have. Based on that, we improvised the technique and also created a new technique called as Abhyasa technique. What we'll do, as whatever is mentioned in that recommended technique, 0 minutes and then 20 to 30 minutes, what you have to do is, you have to review in the class itself, or maybe whatever discussed in the class, you have to revise in a matter of half an hour after going home or whatever. Okay. Next one, if you can do these 2 things from your side, the Abhyasa program will take care of the rest of the entire long-term memory technique. What is the rest of that? First day, after 1 day you have to revise. After 1 day you have to revise. What we'll do is, we'll keep a test for you, daily test. Whatever topic that is being taught in the previous day, in a matter of 24 hours, we'll conduct a daily test for you. And that daily test will contain 10 objective bits and 1 descriptive question, so that prelims oriented preparation as well as mains oriented preparation and practice will all anyway be done. And if you have to write this test, you have to obviously revise it. That means the third revision will anyway be done if you have to write the daily test. And again, immediately whatever is being written, the test, the discussion will happen by a teacher also for the same time. Okay. And next, the revised version of Abhyasa program, after 1 day test, we will be having another test weekly. Weekly test will also be there. Whatever 6 days, Monday to Saturday, whatever you learn, you will have a test on Sunday. That means all those topics that you learn in Monday to Saturday, you have to revise. That means weekly revision, and then come and write that weekly test, right? And then we have 2 to 3 weeks, you have to again one more time you have to revise. Therefore, we'll have one more test called as fortnightly test. That means last 2 weeks whatever you have read, if you can revise all of them and write a test on that, that means revision and practice are all going together for 2 weeks, then I think most of the information you will be able to recollect after that. And not only that is not at all sufficient, we need some more things also. What we can also do is, we will have one more test which is a monthly test. So last 4 weeks whatever you read, you again revise last 4 weeks information and then go for a monthly test. And the last one is, in 2 to 3 months you have to revise one more. Therefore, we'll have a grand test, revision test of 3 months information or learnings whatever you learn. That means if you can from your side, first 2 steps if you can do on your own, then rest of all of them we can do through program called as Abhyasa. So Abhyasa will take care of rest of all of those tests and revisions that you are supposed to do for your long-term memory. And what exactly is Abhyasa program structure? The Abhyasa program structure, as you can see here, we have a daily test, right? Daily test in which you have 10 objective MCQs, objective questions which are prelims based MCQs, and we have 1 descriptive question, mains based descriptive question. So whatever, let me the marks, but what you have done, every day you will be writing 10 objective questions along with 1 descriptive one. That means prelims based practice as well as mains based practice. And remember one thing, in order to write this test, whatever you have just read 24 hours back or within the matter of 24 hours, whatever you have read, you have to revise and come to class and then write the test so that the first daily test would be completed. Like that, every day you will be writing a test on daily basis of whatever topics that you read previous day. Next, weekly test. Weekly test is all about, as I mentioned, last 1 week whatever information that you have to revise, and for that at least 20 MCQs, objective bits, and 2 descriptive questions you have to practice. That's what is Abhyasa program all about that we are conducting at our place. And then fortnightly test, 30 objective bits and 3 descriptive questions. And then monthly test, we have 50 objective bits and then 5 descriptive questions. And lastly, 3 months test, 100 full length test, 100 objective bits and 10 descriptive questions. You know, if you can do like this, if you can practice tests like this, and if you can revise everything like this, then you know what happens. You would have done multiple revisions in a proper particular frequency based on which everything goes to your memory. Not only that, the practice required for prelims as well as mains would have already been done here. Now, with this practice, you know how many objective bits you would have done in a matter of 9 months? In a matter of 9 months, nearly 4,200 plus objective bits you would have practiced, and not only that, nearly 500 plus descriptive questions for which you would have written answers. Dear friends, this is a beautiful program because this is the kind of practice you require for civil service preparation. Anyone who can not only read, revise in a regular frequency and then take test at a regular frequency, then no one can stop you from cracking civil service examination. All the best. Thank you.